Hey everyone, this is David with the Bridge Broadcast. This is a fun episode. This is episode 21 with Malcolm Harrod. He's a former player of mine, came through the Bridge organization. He just graduated from ESD. He's now onto some really great things. Let's get caught up with him. Why don't you do kind of like a quick intro on yourself?
Okay.
Just to kind of kick us off.
Lacrosse background stuff?
Just everything. Just you as Malcolm.
All right. So I'm Malcolm. I attended St. Philip's School and Community Center through sixth grade. That's where I got my start in lacrosse. Started playing in second grade, played on the third and fourth grade team a little bit. And then I left St. Philip's in sixth grade, like I said. And I went to the Episcopal School of Dallas. I started playing there in seventh grade, obviously. Graduated this year. Amazing 6 years of my life. That program is something very special. And, I really got that college experience while I was there in terms of, lacrosse workload. And it was a big jump because at St. Philip's, I was top two best players. And I remember my first practice at ESD, and it was just completely, I was like, I got a lot of work to do. What else? I'm a photographer. That's my thing, my love, my passion, that and lacrosse together. I was originally committed to play lacrosse at Hampton, Division I lacrosse at Hampton. But, just how the dice fall, I decided, that wasn't the best thing for me. So focusing on photography right now is my main love and my main passion. But I'll always be connected to the sport, that got me to where I am today. What else is there about me?
Talk about, some of your entrepreneurial stuff. Obviously, photography fits in that vein, but you've got some other stuff going on, right?
Yeah, so I'm on two businesses. One currently, my photography business, obviously, but also me and my dad, about my eighth grade year, going into freshman year, started From X Clothing. It was a lacrosse apparel brand that focused on, our community in the lacrosse realm and catering to that community. That was our target audience, was black and brown kids that play the sport, or black and brown kids that, we want to get introduced to the sport. And, again, stuff just happened. We kind of just fell off, but it's always something we can always go back and do. It's not like we don't have a platform already. And
it's great experience, right? To launch your own business,
for
right?
Sure. I learned how to start a business.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And then I took an entrepreneurship class my senior year that really taught me the technical part of starting a business. So
right.
I understand, specialized marketing, like I said, target audiences, the taxes behind it, all the stuff you actually have to, licensing and stuff, all the stuff that you have to do to have a real business.
Yeah. Kind of the less fun or the less showy part of owning a business.
The part that school usually doesn't teach you. I was blessed enough to, have that class, but school usually doesn't teach you that. That's stuff you got to do research on. But I know that now. So if I ever want to go back to it, I can always go back to it.
I hope you do, man. I've got 3 or 4 of the shirts and would love to get some more if you got some new designs coming out there. And you clearly put a ton of work into it. The number, even just the sheer number of designs, right? The different sort of seasons that you had, consistently updating, sort of what was available was really impressive. And, even doing the, we did it at St. Philip's. We did kind of almost like a focus group with some of our boys. That was really fun too.
Target audience, little focus group. And I'll tell you the reason why it ended. There's 2 main reasons. One, the profit margin on the shirts wasn't high enough.
Right.
To really warrant all the work we were putting into it. And then secondly, my dad, my trade is a graphic designer. I'm not. I'm learning. I'm a good artist, but he knows he's been doing this for as long as I've been alive. So he was really the brain behind all the design. So I felt like the brand wasn't really mine to an extent. It was kind of, it was more towards him, which isn't his fault. I mean, he was the one doing the design, but I can only translate so much of what was in my head to designs. But now that, I've been working, have my photography business, if I ever want to start again, I have enough money to buy a printer, or I will have enough money to buy a printer. So that cuts out that middleman. That really, because, we had shirts that were $30. Like personally, I'm not buying a shirt that's $30. So that was always a concern of mine. But, if the whole thing, if we're catering towards, lower income areas, or even just, people that don't want to spend $30 on a shirt, you got to lower that price.
Right.
So that it's affordable. So we can actually hit our target audience.
Did you see it more as like an educational, like I just want to learn how to start a business, maintain it? Or did you go in with like, I want to make this incredibly successful and sell X number of t-shirts a year and really make this like a big part of my income?
I saw it as a long-term investment for sure, because most businesses, 9 out of 10 businesses fail within the first 10 years or 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I know if we can get over that 2-year hump, which we did actually, I know if we get over that 2-year hump, then this could really be something that I do. And it takes time to build a brand. You can only do so much marketing and put yourself out there for so much. Word of mouth is the biggest way to play. So we had to get influencers to wear our stuff. We had to get people like Nakai to wear our stuff.
Yeah.
People like Kyle to wear our stuff. People that, we look up to in the lacrosse community to rock our brand. And, it was going to take time for it to get out of Texas, for it to get to the East Coast, where the money really is, because that's where the sport's big. So, like I said, our following is still pretty big on Instagram. We have like 500 followers on an account that we don't post on.
Right.
So if I ever want to start it again, I have stuff I would do differently now.
Yeah. But you can jump right in. It's not done. It's just
it's
kind
not.
of
Our website's still, our domain's still ours, I'm pretty sure.
Good.
So, we could just do it if we wanted to. And I might, we'll see.
Yeah. And I think the other part too is like you were still in high school when you were all doing this. So you still
I work.
Yeah. You're still a student. You're still a lacrosse player. You're still, you're still a teenager. So that obviously plays a part in terms of like your commitment level.
Sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, I love the shirts when you start putting stuff out there again, I'm all in. And I know you and I have talked a little bit about doing like a collaboration between Bridge and From X. That'd be cool.
Soon to come.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about, the uniqueness of your experience. You're one of the few that still has that connective tissue to kind of like this new, we'll say, version of Bridge, and then like connected with like Edie and Cricket, who were like the founders essentially. Yeah. How have you seen the development or maturation of Bridge? Like, have you followed kind of from where you were at the very beginning, where it was just kind of St. Philip's and Irma? And I don't know how much connection you had with Irma, like the girls team, to now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what have you seen over the course of the last 10 plus years?
It has grown exponentially. And, we were playing on dirt. It was just St. Philip's. The field hadn't been redone yet. The team was small. But, those are some of the best memories I have playing the sport. But, I remember when you guys moved to J.C. Phelps, and I was like, I was kind of hurt at one point, but also I was like, I know you guys got to grow, but like St. Philip's was always, the ground to go to. But, I'm extremely happy to see my family grow. And, the growth has been amazing. And the support, even from donors and stuff. That's what my mom does, is her thing is to cater towards donors. So I've learned how to, do that.
Yeah. And, fundraising development.
Just the fundraising element of it, and just seeing you do your work. And I'm glad I'm able to be a part of that, because I see myself as a spokesperson for St. Philip's and for Bridge. When I go off to the schools that, the parents of my friends are usually the people that donate.
Yeah.
So, I'm able to put that connection in there, hopefully. And I think I've done a pretty good job with ESD itself. I've got some of my best friends to coach with me, and they love Bridge as much as I do now.
Yeah.
Not as much, but they love Bridge. No one will ever love it as much as I do. But, they love Bridge. They love what Bridge stands for. And, I know you got big plans for the future. I hope this turns into a Harlem lacrosse type thing, even bigger than that. But I hope it, becomes a nationwide thing. Because if you're in Texas and you play lacrosse, you know what Bridge is.
Right.
But like I said, it's hard to get out of Texas. We got to get it to the East Coast, the West Coast, maybe plant the program in a different city, have that happen. It doesn't have to be, a Dallas thing. And that's, hopefully I get to come back. I get to coach. I don't know if I probably haven't talked to Jack recently, but me and Gorman played Xbox yesterday. So, we were talking, and since I'm not going to be at school, I'll be doing community college during the fall. I can come coach, if we actually have a season. I can be a coach with him, and I want to give back, and eventually, I want to take your spot. I want to. I
know we joked about that, but I'm pretty serious about how great it would be to have an alum run this show.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool. Yeah. I mean, I appreciate you saying that. That means a lot. Your longevity with this organization, even from, a little bit of a distance, you being an ESD and not as active of a player or Bridge participant, has been really fascinating. And then you're also connected to like the origins of this organization with ED and Cricket, Coach Jack Tierney.
Coach Jack.
I mean, those three are, why we exist. And then now you're an active participant in Summer Academy, the leadership board. You and I have talked about the marketing of Bridge and kind of how do we spread it out there to, like you said, East Coast or just outside of Texas. So it's cool that you're one of the few people that have been around to see, almost the entire history of this organization. And lots changed in that. I want to ask you, because it's become kind of standard to ask now, how you handled and what were some of the things going on when COVID hit, and how you've kind of managed and adjusted to whatever this, the current circumstances are.
It's been extremely, extremely tough. I'm kind of gotten used to it now, but like in the very beginning, my mom is a cancer survivor, so she's a high risk individual. So I got to be extra careful when I go places and stuff. And that was hard to grasp when this first started. I didn't get the end of my senior year, and that's like the most fun. After spring, I came home from Mexico, and everything was shut down. Yeah. And we live in Texas, so kind of shut down, kind of not. You know how we are down here.
Right.
So it's a little different, but it's been tough. When it first started, I was working out 3 times a day because I was still dead set on Hampton. I was working out 3 times a day, keeping myself busy, trying to at least. And then just the last few months, I've kind of fallen off. I'm just gonna, expose myself. I've just kind of been playing Xbox, sleeping. May go on a run, may work out every once in a while, like maybe once every 2 weeks or something like that. But I haven't really, felt the need to do that. And then the community college thing came up, and it's just a lot more cost effective with all this going on. Hampton's charging $12,000 a semester to do school from home. So, I'd rather just do community college, save some money out of my pocket.
When this thing, you got back from spring break, schools, SPC, they're all kind of closing down. How long did you think this was going to last? Like, were you, 2 weeks, we'll be back, we'll get the season, graduation at that time was never in question? Or were you, hey, this might be rough?
So I remember our last practice. We only played, also, my season didn't go how I wanted it to. One, I didn't play as well as I thought I was going to.
Right.
And, I had some family stuff go on in the very beginning, so I had to miss a few games. We ended up playing like 8 games, and I missed like half of them.
Oh, okay.
I got an infection on my wisdom teeth, so I had to get those pulled. I missed a few games from that.
Too bad.
And it's just stuff that was out of my control that I hate that I didn't take advantage of. I remember our last practice, coach was like, this could be our last practice because of
really?
COVID stuff.
Yeah.
Because by the time spring break had happened, it was like, starting to hit the headlines. School stuff was starting to close. We didn't know if we were going to be able to get back in the country, stuff like that.
Right.
Like, this might be our last practice. And I was like, BS. Like this will roll over. In a few months or whatever, and it didn't. So
and we're here. We're still here.
Yeah, I kind of took that for granted. I miss my brothers more than anything. Those people like I said, I played for Bridge for about as long as I played for ESD.
Yeah.
And I went through my most, my maturity state with them. So those are like, my best friends, my life.
Yeah, those are formative years for sure.
Yeah. So, I regret a lot, but I don't regret it at the same time, if that makes any sense. I love my time at ESD. But, stuff happens. Life goes on. So
I think looking back, you're kind of like, well, could have done this differently or, better, whatever it may be. But you also make decisions based on the information you have, right? No one knew how long this was going to really last, or the information was kind of spotty, and you just kind of go with whatever you have available in front of you. And unfortunately, it did last a lot longer. It still is, still lasting, still going on. Yeah, definitely. In terms of like right now, are you obviously you're doing the virtual thing, laying low, masks on, everything like that?
Yep. Just, I have to get out of the house every once in a while. My parents recognize that too. So I go see friends every once in a while, and, I'm seeing the same people over and over again. So you don't have to be extremely cautious about them, because I'm seeing them every week. But, when I go grocery shopping and stuff, I do that every once in a while. I just opted out of my job. I got a job as a portrait photographer. For a studio called Life Touch. They do like every school's senior portraits. So I was doing senior portraits for a while. That was a fun job. Very grateful for those people there. But I've just been trying to keep myself busy, and all my friends are going to college. So I'm really by myself here. It's tough just trying to do photos and stuff. Like I said, keep myself busy because I'm really, all alone besides my junior friends at ESD, or they're seniors now. But, my lacrosse, my brothers that, are seniors now. But
well, we'll have you. I mean, listen, we're going to do some fall programming, whatever. It'll look, different. But yeah, listen, you're in for whatever. Yeah, we'll count you in for all that. No,
yes.
No question.
We'll be there.
So in addition to COVID, and this is, one of the reasons I wanted to chat with you, did you get a chance to see or listen to that Listen and Learn forum that we did a couple months ago?
But I saw, me and Ross talked about it for a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know. I think he watched it or he read it. Was it a video?
We did it. It was like a Zoom, and so we had people kind of call in.
Yeah, I think him and his dad watched the Zoom together.
Yeah, so we put it on YouTube.
Yeah, we talk. I'll watch it after this. But
not a big deal. The reason we put it out there, obviously post George Floyd, there was a lot of discussion, especially in the lacrosse community, about how organizations like Bridge can be more of an advocate or more active in addressing social and racial injustices. And so we put together the Listen and Learn forum specifically with our kids and our alumni as the speakers, giving them the platform, right? No prompts from myself, no question, not a Q&A. Just this is your microphone, this is your platform, go. In the conversations or in the kids and the alumni talking, one of the things that stood out that I don't think I expected was most of our kids and alumni have had really positive experience with lacrosse. And I realized that because most of our kids play with kids that look like them, right? Yep. The vast majority of our program is Black and brown kids, 50% Black, 40% Hispanic, right? So generally speaking, if you play on a Bridge team, most everyone looks like you. And so that is a different environment than, the one Black kid on a team from a different school. Or as I'm listening and going, oh, most of our kids, they understand that lacrosse is not a very, very diverse sport, or they've had negative things happen to them on the field, or there's been that kind of aura when you show up to a tournament where it's obvious we're the only majority minority team. I wanted to reach out to you, and there's a few other alumni that are still playing lacrosse on predominantly white teams. I wanted to get kind of your thoughts on, just the last few months and being a part of these this racial movement and sort of awakening that's happening. What is your perspective as a Bridge player who understands our dynamic, but is not a Bridge player or was not a Bridge player for the last 6 years?
In terms of
how you've maybe navigated the sport of lacrosse as a whole. And I know that's very generic and maybe too broad.
I can definitely answer that. So having gone to St. Philip's, having played for Bridge, I got to know myself. I knew who I was as a Black man in America. I recognized that, I'm not going to be treated the same way everywhere I go. And that was perfect. That was perfect for me to, understand that. And I'm just going to put this out there. I never had a bad experience with anyone that goes to ESD.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
I would be completely transparent about that. There were nuances here and there, but you could tell there was no malicious intent behind it. And I took it as a learning curve for them. I was like, look, don't say this for this reason. Don't do this for this reason. And that was more, my early years at ESD when we were still pretty young and stupid. But as we got older, that stuff kind of went away. But you never have a problem with anybody that's on your team. Cause you bleed, you cry with them. Those are, like I said, that's like your family. It's really when you go and play other teams. And I only had 2 or 3 bad experiences in the sport of lacrosse playing somewhere that I know of. Obviously something could have been said that I didn't know of. And it was when we went to Florida last year for spring break. We played very, very good teams out there. And it wasn't even anybody on that other team. It was a baseball team that was there, and you know how baseball is. It was a baseball team there that was watching the game.
Oh, interesting.
So, I'm not going to say what they said, but, I've had that experience.
Okay.
I got a lot of friends at Highland Park, but Highland Park is notorious for that reason. And, asking Nakai about that is probably better than me. because, he got the minutes all the time against them. He's our guy. So he got the chirps. He got a lot of the chirps. But, I got a lot of love for this sport, and it's not necessarily – it's not as rooted – it's not as deeply rooted. Racism isn't deeply rooted in lacrosse like it is baseball, if that makes any sense. Like baseball, you just expect it to happen.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Lacrosse doesn't really like that. Some of the kids might be, and it might help that I'm 6'2", 205 pounds. You probably not. Most of the kids that play lacrosse aren't my size. They're not going to come up to me and say stuff like that. But,
right.
I've never had that bad experience, but I also helped that I knew who I was going into predominantly white, places, club teams. Played on many club teams, and I got that Nation United experience too. We haven't talked about that at all. But that was just a ridiculous experience because coming from Bridge, the level of – or even just coming from ESD, it was different playing on a higher level team full of people that look like me.
Yeah,
everyone was good.
Yeah.
Everyone on that team was good. And it was fun because we went and we got second place in the tournament, which we got first. But, we just went and, did what we had to do. And we showed the lacrosse world, we're here.
Right.
And we're in numbers. It's not just one of us. Because like I said, it's easy to just point out the one black kid on ESD, the one black kid on St. Mark's, one black kid on no black kids on HB. The one black kid on McKinney or something like that,
Right.
So that's just my 2 cents.
I'm glad to hear that because I think, again, our kids were like, lacrosse has been great. And my team is supportive, but a lot of that is because they look like me or they're kids in my neighborhood from my similar background. I had wondered if that was sort of maybe the wrong audience to tap into the conversation, that it maybe should have been the one black kid on, an ESD, a select team. But I'm glad to hear that you've had a supportive experience because I can that's not always the case.
I can definitely offer a different perspective than them.
Yeah,
but that doesn't make their perspective invalid. Don't get me wrong.
No, not at all.
Like I said, I've been through both, so I know what both are like. And there's something special about playing with, people that look like you. You don't have that in the back of your mind. And I've been meaning to get this off my chest for a while. That's the problem with the ignorance in this country when it comes to people not understanding racism. It's not that I get called the N-word when I walk outside every day. It's the fact that in the back of my mind, I have to approach situations in a different way.
Right.
Because I don't know how someone else is going to react to me being there, to me doing this, to me doing that. And honestly, it goes both ways, which is bad. That's the media really, tries to put a divide between races in this country. I've come to notice that. And, for some white people that are acting out of ignorance, or just some people that aren't black or aren't of color, they're acting out of ignorance because all they hear is the rap music on the radio. All they see is us on the news. All they see is, they don't see successful black businessmen, successful lacrosse players. They don't see that. And the same way that I approach a situation where, I see a white guy, I don't know, I got to approach it as he might be racist, because if I don't, then my guard is down, bad things can happen. But that's just not a reality that I should have to live with. And it's not a reality that's true. Most people out there aren't going to be blatantly racist to you. Even in Texas, a lot of it is just ignorance and them just not understanding the difference or why something is wrong. Like I talked about earlier, how I had to tell my friends, this is wrong, this is right. It's not that they meant to say anything. It's just something they've heard, something they saw, and they were like, oh, okay, that's cool to say. That's cool to do. So
yeah, I appreciate you saying that. That is one of the things that we're doing better understanding within Bridge, and especially our coaches, is that, listen, overt racism is rare, right? The N-word, the racial slurs, those are few and far between, and most of our kids will never experience anything like that.
I'll throw this in there. I'd rather have someone be outright racist to me.
Yeah.
Me and my dad joke about this all the time, but like the scary ones are the ones that, you don't know if they're racist or not. I'd rather have someone just come up to me and just be racist. Like,
And
at least
just
I know. I know I can stay away from you. Say it's the nuances, it's the little stuff, and it's the people that are kind of in between,
Right.
So,
and that's what we're doing better just in the last few years of understanding, the way we kind of train or talk to our coaches is, when these things happen, that's very overt, like there's a kind of an automatic mechanism to solve that, right? We're going to address the refs, we're going to address the league, we're going to address the president of that association, the coach, whoever. But there's almost this really easy pathway to address overt racism.
Yeah.
It's the nuances, like you said, it's these little things, it's the little subtle prejudices, the implicit bias that usually are against our kids, our teams. That's a lot harder to address, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not overt, because it's not obvious to everyone in the room, white, black, or, people of color. It's not, and it's not always digested the same way. And so that's really been difficult for us the last few years of understanding what is the mechanism to solve or address implicit bias, to address smaller, issues of prejudice versus overt racism. Yeah, I like I said, I think most of our kids will never have an overt racist thing happen to them on the lacrosse field.
Yeah.
But it's the way a ref calls a game. It's the way a coach maybe talks to his kids differently about playing our team than other teams.
Exactly.
Those are things that, we may never know, and we don't necessarily have an automatic to address it.
Yeah.
Those are tough things. Ultimately, I'm really glad that you've had a very supportive system around you at ESD. That's one thing that, again, our kids, it's so much, maybe not easier, but there's a familiarity when everyone on the team looks like you, and you don't really have those things in the back of your mind. So, I'm really glad to hear that. That was one perspective in that listen and learn event that we didn't pull in, with someone like you who wasn't playing on the Bridge team, that was playing a predominantly white team. And, we've talked to a couple of our kids who have played like select. So like JJ plays for Grit. We have two boys that have played for Chaos, and, we've had kids go through other programs, and, they've had different experiences, but I think kind of like you, they feel supported, and, maybe it's a little awkward because it's very obvious they're the only black or brown kid on the team, but
it's also different when you go to school and not just play on a club team.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All the club teams I've played on, let me see, Iron Horse and Nation, I guess, are the main ones. And I played Iron Horse for the longest time. And a lot of kids go to Jesuit that play Iron Horse, and they're some of my good friends. And it's easy to make that connection when you go to a school like ESD, because we see each other all the time.
That's a good point.
So yeah, it's different when you're going. I don't know how Chaos is. One of my best friends, Titus, plays on Chaos, and he's had a great experience. He's also a really, really good lacrosse player. And that's what makes it easy. That's what's easy for guys. I don't know about girls, or maybe girls in sports settings. But if you're a guy and you're good at whatever you're doing, like you're good at sports, you're athletic, it's very easy to make that initial connection. And that's why it's always been easy for me to make friends. It's one, I'm a people person, and two, I'm good at sports. So we have that easy connection right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing that when we send our kids to select teams or to tryouts, they're generally the better lacrosse players. They're generally the more skilled, more experienced lacrosse players. And so I do think there is an ease of, maybe assimilation isn't the right word, but kind of getting familiar with.
Say it.
Yeah, maybe, but there is an ease in being able to be familiar and get to know your teammates if you're really good, and they're also relying on you to be productive and you're doing very well, versus if you're, maybe not as experienced, it might be just tougher overall. Yeah, those are definitely points of emphasis that we've had with our kids in the past, X number of years, 3 or 4 years, as we push more kids towards, looking at these opportunities around select and travel.
That's huge. It's huge.
Yeah. And I want to go back to one thing you said, because this is the one thing that stands out, is you mentioned early on at the kind of in the days at St. Philip's, is just how sure of yourself you are. Like you're so confident in your identity and who you are, like you said, as a Black man. And that's something that I feel like everyone has taken notice. Every coach I've ever talked to, and this goes back to like Coach Rod at, when he was at Metro Lacrosse, and Summer Bounce. And then, I had Coach, do you remember Brian Koza,
Yeah.
Coach Koza? Yeah. He reached out to me, a month or two ago when kind of the post George Floyd, and there was a lot of momentum and this movement was really taking hold. And he called me and was like, hey, how's a kid like Malcolm doing? Right. How is he handling the larger issue at hand? And, he's a coach that really felt connected to you. And there's a lot of coaches in Bridge that have had that. And I think a lot of it is because you're so sure of yourself as a player and as a student athlete. That's really cool. I don't know if there's adults that don't have that sort of certainty about themselves.
I got lucky. My family has a deep my mom's side especially has a deep roots in civil rights. My great grandmother was a civil rights activist in Dallas. That's the most notable person in my family. They call her Mama Mac in Dallas. If you go to like a Black community, talk to the elders there, they'll know who my great grandmother.
Okay, that's awesome.
She she did that. So from a very early age, it was instilled in me that you are a Black man first.
Yeah.
Because America may fall tomorrow, but I'll still be Black.
Yeah.
So it's good to know who you are. It helps in a lot of situations because I can approach them knowing what's best for me, knowing what my values are and how to analyze those situations. And yeah, I appreciate all that. I love my Bridge coaches.
You're a legend in the Bridge family. You know that, right? Like, but yeah, I mean, historically speaking, like coaches have said, this is a kid who, it's confidence, it's that self-identity that is so rock solid. Even, as early as, those middle school, elementary years of just, this is a kid who has set goals and ambitions, understands how to get there, understands relationships, understands just how to process information and make decisions that's best for him and his family. It's really impressive.
Thank you. I've always been complimented on my maturity, which is good and bad. I feel like I missed out a little bit as a kid because I was trying to act too grown, and I did it too well. Like, there's some kids that try to act grown and they just do it on the surface level, but I was like literally mentally trying to, be mature, which is good. I mean, it got me in a lot of good places, got me a lot of good connections because they were like, wow, this kid's 14. At 14, I could easily hold an intellectual conversation with an adult. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's one thing that I remember, and I remember having that conversation with you as a sixth grader. We had, it was a fall. So it was a fall tournament. I remember this like really vividly. I think I told your dad this.
Was it in McKinney?
It was a Relaxin tournament.
Yeah.
And I was like,
tournament.
And I was like, and I pulled you aside, like, this is your team now. Like, you're the leader of this team. We had a lot of sixth graders that had, graduated or moved on.
Yeah.
And so, looking around this tournament, it's like the leader of this team is Malcolm, and he's got to take us from, having a lot of talented players that moved on. We've got to make this transition. He's our go-to guy, not because he's probably one of the more skilled players on the team, which you were and kind of have always been, but you had that level of confidence. People could rally around you. Fifth graders and sixth graders and coaches could rally around you. And that got us through, kind of an up and down fifth and sixth grade team year.
For sure. That was a very strange team because the only two sixth graders were me and Anthony.
Yeah, it was like a really young team, not a lot of the numbers.
Fifth graders for the most part. We had a very solid fifth grade group. That's a very good. It's definitely grown by now, but I remember we had Spivey.
Kevon was the goalie.
Kevon's still a beast.
We weren't really sure how the fifth graders were going to kind of jump in, and they took some time to develop. So I do remember that specifically, kind of saying like, this is going to be yours.
This is
like,
me now.
Yeah. So again, going back, like your level of confidence, the way you hold yourself is really impressive and something that has stood out to every Bridge coach that's come our way. I wanted to throw another thing at you, and this is kind of to kind of present day and what you're looking towards in the future, but you've got that huge creative aspect of your life, right? You've got the photography, you've got, obviously your entrepreneurial spirits. What are some other things you want to kind of jump into? Like, what are some other things about that creative side that you want to pursue?
So my goal, and this is what I felt like I was going to bring to Bridge. The biggest thing I was going to bring to Bridge is to start a marketing firm. It's very hard to make a living as a photographer, and I'm not really concerned about making money because, I've been surrounded around millionaires and billionaires for the last 7 years of my life. And whenever I ask them for advice, it's always do what you love, the money will follow, or passive income is huge. So stocks and stuff like that. So I've really been into Forex trading and stock trading and all those things, just real estate. Might get my real estate license. We'll see. Just passive income stuff I don't have to really, have a 9 to 5 for. But the marketing thing is definitely what I want to do because my dad can teach me how to do the graphic design portion of it. And actually at Brookhaven right now, second semester, I'm doing a intro to marketing class. So I'm doing design already. I'll do design class and learn all those tools that I need. So, I can help. We always, whenever we all end up talking, it's always about how can we make this bigger?
Right.
And me being trained in that, I can do anything with that. So, I can help out brands. I can help out programs like Bridge, stuff that I care about, because it's my marketing firm. I can do whatever I want with it. So I can say, look, I like this company over here. I'm going to reach out to them, see if they want to work.
Yeah.
And I can just I like making people smile, like making people's, days, years better.
Yeah.
And if I can do that in any way, but also put money in my pocket, that's, an amazing opportunity. So marketing, that's my thing.
Who are some of your role models in that graphic or the marketing side then?
My dad. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only person. And it's not even that he owns his own company, but he's been an artist his whole life. He didn't go to school for marketing. He went to school for animation.
Oh wow! I didn't know that.
But he just grinded his butt off, and landed. He's been working his way up since I was born with this marketing stuff. So whenever I have questions about it, I go and ask him. And that's been our way of connecting these last few years, is just being able to ask my dad. I'm making business cards right now for my photography stuff. So I'm like,
I love it.
He makes my logos. He helps you make my ads, all that stuff. And it's just, stuff I'm learning from. It's cool to have that. Everyone doesn't have that opportunity. That's what's sad. Everyone doesn't have a father figure, literally, or just a dad, just, to go and ask questions about life and stuff. It's even bigger than the marketing thing. My dad is my role model. My dad and my mom are both role models. My mom is more of the entrepreneur, but my dad, because she has a theater company, but my dad, is does the stuff that I want to do.
And he's got some of that technical know-how.
Yeah, he's been doing Photoshop since the first version of Photoshop. So I got a lot to glean from him.
Yeah, I mean, your family's great, and they've been obviously a big supporter of this organization, and just someone or a family we can kind of bounce stuff off of. I remember, going to your mom really early on when we were talking about
fundraising.
Fundraising for sure. That's always been her and I's conversation, but also even, and going back to what you said about making that transition to JC Philp, to some degree, leaving St. Philip's. It wasn't something that we were super excited about doing, but we just needed that.
Needed to be done.
We needed that. Yeah. Well, yeah, we needed to grow. And it was something that was like a really tough decision. And your mom was really great at just sort of walking me through, how do we make this in a way that there's a clarity, right? Yeah. That why we're doing this is for the best interest of this organization, making sure it made sense, and making sure that, along the way, that wasn't going to be this upsetting process. And your mom was great at that. Your mom was great at like helping me. Here's how to make sure this is done in a way that's very respectful of all the relationships we've made across, or over the past X number of years. Yeah, absolutely. And obviously we're still maintain a really great relationship with St. Philip's.
But it was needed. It was a must. And like I said earlier, I was like, dang, we're moving from St. Philip's. And the main reason why is because, I don't know if you remember this, but I used to go to the school in the summer because ESD is sometimes locked, and my mom would go to work. This was before I could drive. My mom would go to work, so I would go with her to work at St. Philip's, and I would go to the field, and I would just shoot the entire day. Yeah. Because I had the code for the goals.
Right.
And then I remember I came one day, and the goals are gone.
Everything's cleared out. You're like, oh, crap.
But obviously I can drive now, so it's not a big deal. But
we've made some good strides, and I think one of the ones, and I want to talk a little bit about this, is just because I miss it, but Summer Academy and Summer Bounce.
Oh my God.
Those experiences.
Me, Ross, and Gorman were playing Xbox. We play like every night, but Summer Academy always comes up, and we miss it so much. It was the most taxing week of my life, but also one of the most fun weeks of my life.
We all averaged 4 or 5 hours a night, and I remember you would have to you run back to the dorms to do some editing and get some. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Malcolm, I need like 5 photos for social media for tonight. Things like that, because we rolled off, pretty much all of our summer programming because of COVID. And then I remember I was talking to Maddie like on a Monday, and I realized like, oh, Maddie, like we should be at Summer Bounce or we should be at Summer Academy right now. And she was like, oh, wait, was that going to be this week? And I was like, yeah. So yeah, it was devastating. And, we'll hopefully bounce back for next year and bigger and better. But, Evan reached out to me on social media, on Instagram. Evan from Houston.
Oh, little Evan. Oh,
little Evan. Yeah, he reached out to me.
Instagram.
He was like, Coach, are we doing anything for summer? Like, what's going on? I was like, dude, COVID, man. Like,
yeah, I message him every once in a while, checking on him and stuff.
Yeah, he's doing well, it sounds like.
Another cool thing about Bridge is being a coach now is being able to, a lot of these kids that are playing now or for like the middle school teams, I didn't go to school with, so I have no idea who they are. They have no idea who I am. Maybe they do. but being able to start that connection and being a role model for them, like even Evan doesn't even live in Dallas, he lives in Houston.
Yeah.
But he'll DM me on Instagram, show me the string job he just did. And like,
yeah.
He'll ask me, what's your setup? What do you use? Tell him my mesh, tell him my shooters, all that stuff. And being able to, that's cool. That's extremely, extremely cool. Because now I'm in the shoes of people that I look up to when I was their age. So,
I remember you saying that we did, I think it was that second year, I can't remember. We're doing some filming and we had that little interview. It was like, this is cool because I was these kids like 5 years ago, 3 years ago, or whatever. And with our alumni base growing and growing, we've got some history and we have more alumni who are part of the organization. Like, it's so cool to have that as part of our story, where it's like half of our coaches here used to be these kids that I used to coach, right? Or that were a part of our organization years ago when they were kids. Like, that's such a great story. And I think as we get more and more kids through the system and, as we grow, so much of our identity is going to be based on the alumni and what they've learned and how they've been able to grow in the organization. And then now ultimately how they're going to be a part of, the leadership, right? Or the organizational side. Yeah. So man, I appreciate you doing this. This was fun to do.
Of course.
It was good chatting.